He is presently the Secretary Education, Technical Education and Information Technology, and Secretary to Honorable Chief Minister.
Data is considered the new oil. It is very imperative that we use data and the evidence to better formulate our public policies. The implementation should be in tune with the needs of the people for which the policies are being made. So for me, good implementation is necessary in good public policy.
Welcome to Policy Talks at ISB. I'm delighted to have Dr. Abhishek Jain. He's an Indian Administrative Service Officer of 2002 cadre of Himachal Pradesh, and he is presently the Secretary Education, Technical Education and Information Technology, and Secretary to Honorable Chief Minister. Welcome, Dr. Abhishek Jain, to our podcast.
Thank you.
So just first to start the conversation, you have been a career bureaucrat for all these years. What motivated you to join? What has been the key drivers for you to join the services?
I wanted to become a public servant and an IAS officer since my school days. And the primary motivation was to be a facilitator in the change path of the country, and wanted to contribute to the best of my abilities. And I thought that the public services, especially services like IAS, provide you a platform and huge opportunities where not only you can work for yourself and your family, but also can touch the lives of millions of people in the remotest of the parts of the country. So with that sort of motivation, I chose to join the Indian Administrative Service.
And you had such a bright career all across, and we have been knowing you for some time. What has been some of the, if I say, key interventions that you have carried out in your service, any of the posting that you had, which you remember still now, and what impact it has made on the lives of the people or the immediate stakeholders that you think?
Yeah, I'll say it is not my own achievement. It is an achievement of the whole government and the team which worked along with me. But if I have to rate top three interventions or initiatives which I could be associated with, was first is the establishment of India's first census gallery and information kiosk at the census office in Punjab and Chandigarh, where for the first time in the 150 years of census, we established a census gallery which portrays the history, the methodology of conduct of census, and how the latest technologies are bringing data and the numbers for evidence-based policy design and implementation closer to the people. So that project was visited and is being visited by a lot of bureaucrats and other stakeholders. That is one. And the primary purpose is that this project is bringing data-driven policies to the important government functionaries. Second is we set up India's first e-Suchna kiosk and right to information centers, because I believe that information is power, and the people in the villages and at the grassroots level, they need information about the different functions of the government. So we set up these e-Suchna kiosk and right to information center in each and every village of the district Hamirpur and Kullu in Himachal, where proactively the information pertaining to the different facets of public life was displayed. That was also acclaimed as one of the best success stories in the country. And the third was the rejuvenation of the traditional drinking water sources in a traditional dry district, Hamirpur of Himachal, where I was the collector, that how the traditional drinking water sources like Baudi or Khatri or Kuhul or these traditional wells, they were rejuvenated through public participation, through Manrega works also. And now these 700 odd traditional drinking water sources provide all-weather, 24/7 clean, potable water to the villagers. So I'll rate these top three of one of my highlights in the career.
Very interesting, especially the water part, which I am hugely interested in. I look forward to also visiting some of these areas to see how it works out. So you have now, you had a posting in Home Affairs, and now you have come back to your home cadre in Himachal. It's the new government has signed in similar say recently. There has been some challenges that the Himachal Pradesh government is facing, especially what I would say in terms because being a hill state. What are the key challenges that you think from the government side you think the Himachal Pradesh government has, and what are the steps that you are taking to overcome those challenges?
Himachal Pradesh, though it is a very small state in terms of population, but is acclaimed as one of the best governed state and a model of inclusive development by noted economists, including by Amartya Sen and by World Bank also. I, in fact, have done my doctorate only on the inclusive model of economic development of Himachal. It has leapfrogged from a small state of India to one of the best governed and inclusive state of the country. However, since it is also having some constraint in terms of geographical terrain, the other factors, I'll narrate three major challenges to the current state of affairs in Himachal. First is the fiscal aspect, because the state is mainly dependent on three sectors. One is horticulture, second is hydropower, and the third is tourism. And in all the three areas, we in the state of Himachal want to have a balance between the environment, ecology, as well as these three drivers of economic development. So we don't want to promote hydropower too much to the disadvantage of the nature. So the fiscal management is one of the key areas, because we do not have too much of our own resources and we don't want to raise resources at the cost of nature. So fiscal management or fiscal prudence is one. Second is the role of the private sector vis-a-vis the public sector. Traditionally, Himachal has been a state-led and a public sector-driven economy, where people look upon the government to provide majority of the things. However, in the current scenario of market dominance and the private sector, how can we transform from a state-led to a market-led, and from a public sector-driven model to a private sector-driven model? So that is the second challenge, how to transition from a public sector-driven model to a private sector. And the third challenge I feel is the competitiveness of the state, that now all the states are competing with each other in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of attracting investment. So how to make the state more attractive for the market and the private players? So I'll say these are among the three major challenges.
So let's take a more market-friendly state that you're proposing it to be. How do you go about doing that?
So there are certain steps which are being taken. First is to generate more resources and to reduce wasteful expenditure. So the generation of resources is being given a huge thrust. We are looking for the green economy models and how to raise resources within the sustainability of the state economy. And we are roping in the harnessing of the hydropower. We have potential up to 23,000 megawatt. Up to now, we have not utilized even 50%. Then we are also going in for the sustainable tourism, because Himachal is one of the best tourist states. And apart from that, we are also trying to reduce the wasteful expenditure, which is not leading to useful results. This is one. And the other thing is that we are bringing a huge thrust on the technological interventions to reduce cost and also to bring investment in technology. Recently, the government is proposing to change the name of the Department of Information Technology to Department of Digital Transformation and Governance. That how can we leverage technology in a system where people can work from anywhere. They don't need to go to the office. And if we can provide them stable environment and conducive law and order, good connectivity, then Himachal can be a very good attraction.
Very interesting. So, from your earlier portfolio of being with the Department of Census, and the importance of data that we have in today's policy making, the evidence that can collected from data. Using that expertise of yours, and I know you have deep interest also in long-term data and the analysis that you do. How do we leverage that to the advantage of Himachal Pradesh? How does data and evidence leads to good policy making within Himachal Pradesh? What do you think?
Data, we all know, data is considered the new oil, and it is very imperative that we use data and the evidence to better formulate our public policies and use it for better policy implementation also. We in Himachal are also going in for a Himachal data portal, which is also a platform for providing the policy makers and the decision makers relevant, timely and disaggregated data at one platform, so that they can see the different domains within the same sector, because no state is one. We have regional gaps, we have gender gaps, we have social gaps. So that is one. Second is that the data dissemination from the government to the public is also being eased out, so that the numbers and the data is not just with the government, but with other important partners of economic development, including the private sector. So whatever public domain data is available, that is there. And we are also thinking of, the Honorable Chief Minister has announced the creation of a Him Parivar database, wherein the individual characteristics and the indicators of a family would be collected at one place, and then it could be used for better policy design. That what are the things which an individual is automatically entitled for. For instance, some child is belonging to, say, scheduled caste category and having a BPL status, then rather than the child applying for some scholarship, that child should automatically get an alert on his or her mobile or any other form that you are eligible for so and so thing. And as that child graduates from primary school to high school and then to college, so all the entitlements, scholarships and other facilities should automatically come to that person, so that our achievement and inclusion is more.
Okay. So, you see Himachal Pradesh also as a Himalayan state, one of the hotspots for climate change. We have seen last couple of years has been not very easy for Himachal Pradesh in terms of floods, incessant rain that you see. What is the planning of the government in terms of adaptation and resilience to climate change for its large population?
Yeah, that's a very, very, very significant aspect of the current governance in the state. Climate change is a reality, and we all know we have to adopt and adapt our policies according to the changing scenario. In the current setup, the government has given a huge thrust for conversion of the state of Himachal into a green state. The target of 2026 for achievement of the title of Green Himachal has been made by the government in the budget. We are also going in for the battery-driven and green transport mechanism. Himachal Transport Department became the first department in the country to become completely electric vehicles. Apart from that, there are many fiscal incentives which are being given in the transport sector to convert from the traditional fossil fuel driven to the other things. Then in terms of the forest economy also, the forest are an integral part of the state. Almost 2/3 of the total area is under the forest. So those are also being driven in the way that the dry areas and where there is not much greenery, so they are being given a new planning for conversion into the forest economy. Even commercial plantation of the trees which are financially viable also, that is also being given. And the tourism sector is also being roped in to be more eco-friendly and homestays. So in this way, different components. In addition to that, since I am also the Secretary Information Technology, the state will be moving from paper-based filing system to completely e-office by the end of June this year. So the entire Himachal Secretariat, all the directorates, all the collector offices will be paperless, and we will be in the e-office and e-filing system, so that it is not just transparent and quick, but it also is eco-friendly.
That's very nice to know. So you have also been a student of public policy, Abhishek. So tell us, and then this podcast is also meant for researchers, academicians, practitioners, as well activists who are working in the public policy area. So what would be your message to students of public policy?
I'll give a focus on the public policy implementation, because we feel that we have the best of brains, we have the best of data, we have the best of technologies, and we formulate perhaps one of the best policies in the world. Yet, many of the times, they are not able to achieve their intended outcomes, or the success rate is not commensurate to the inputs. So I'll say that we need to give focus on the implementation aspects of public policy and understand the dynamics in which a good policy is translated into good outcome. Most of the time, especially in public policies and public system, the focus is on inputs or on outputs. We also need to think of outcomes. And we need to understand the political economy in which the decisions are made, in which the implementation is done, and also to have a public policy which is inclusive, which is sustainable. Only environment is not considered to be sustainable. Even the public policies should be sustainable, so that with the change of government, the things do not change immediately. And the implementation should be in tune with the needs of the people for which the policies are being made. Sometimes we bureaucrats or other decision makers may feel that we know everything. So I will say that we need to go to the people, understand the peculiar situation at those spots, and then frame our policies in a way that they achieve the implementation aspect. So for me, good implementation is necessary in good public policy.
That's the good note to end this interesting conversation, Abhishek. It's wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Being here.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.